All right, everybody. We're all set for our next run. We've got thearst3rd is going to be doing a all courses marble run of 4D golf. Honestly, I've heard of this game, so I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing this one. So yeah, whenever you're ready to jump right into your run, the floor is yours.
All right, welcome everybody. I'm thearst3rd, and I'm going to be playing 4D golf in marble mode. And here commentating with me, I have Pro PokeNoob.
I am ready for some golf.
And this person has never seen the game before, or beyond a couple minutes, so this is going to be really exciting. But before we actually get started with the run, I do just want to start with a really quick 90-second to 2-minute explanation of how 4D works. So I'm going to hop right into it, and I'll just say it's not a joke, it's not an exaggeration, it's not like just, someone trying to be cool and say it's 4D. This game is literally really four-dimensional. So what does that mean? So here it looks like there's a dead end. What do we even do? So the way this game works is that we only see a 3D slice of the world because we're 3D beings, but this is actually a 4D world, and there's literally a new direction that we can't see. And if you look in the top right hand, there's a compass, and if I click the mouse button and rotate, I'm changing that compass and I'm revealing different slices of this 4D world. So here it revealed a path that I couldn't see before, and I can get here and I can do the same thing. I can change this, and now it reveals a path to the hole. And the goal is, of course, to get the golf ball into the hole. Now, it's kind of crazy, and it might not make sense at first, but as you watch it, and if you play the game as you play it, it'll start making more sense. There's a couple more modes I want to describe before I get started. So I can press the button to change into what's called volume view. So I mentioned that there's always one direction we can't see. What if we make that direction up and down? So here, I can no longer see up and down, and I'm rolling around on the floor. And this floor is actually a 3D volume. That's why it's called volume view. So anything that's in 4D, anything that is a flat surface is actually 3D. Now there's one last thing here, because now I can no longer see changes in height. And see this ramp? This ramp looks like a wall. So there's another view I can press to press this button, and now it sort of shows every single thing in the entire world collapsed onto one flat plane, and it adds transparency so we can see everything, even without it being in our slice. And so this view I use quite a bit. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of different modes in this game, and I hope it at least makes a little bit of sense. But that's how 4D works, and we're going to go ahead and get started with the run in just a second. Oops, yeah, I need to exit out of this level here. But yeah, that's 4D. It's pretty cool. I hope you guys enjoy it. And if everyone's ready, we can get started with the run. Alright, so this is, as mentioned, this is the all courses run. So we're going to be playing all 18 holes of every course in the game. Of course, that's complete-a-thon. And so we're going to get started with the run in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, here we go. This is 4D golf. I already gave the quick demo at the beginning, but the main goal is to get the golf ball into the finish. Here's the first level. We actually need to use 4D, so we change the camera to reveal a path we couldn't see before, and use that to get into the hole. I should mention this is, of course, a golf game. It's called 4D Golf. And so the primary game mode here is actually golf mode, where, you want to try, mini golf and get the ball into the hole in as few strokes as possible. But this marble mode was designed for speedrunning, and I think it's just a lot of fun, and I play marble games, and so it was a perfect match for me. One of the hard things is that because there's this extra dimension, the hole is actually really small. So if you've played games like Marble Blast or Marble It Up, the finish is pretty big in that game, and it's not that easy to miss it. But here, when there's an extra dimension, there's literally a whole other direction in which you can miss it. So you have to aim pretty well to be able to hit this. And yeah, this lots of levels involve. So this one involves slopes. But when I go into volume view and press 1, you can't actually see the slopes, but they're still there. So you need to know where they are. And here's this obstacle. How do we avoid it? What we do is we go into the 4th dimension and we go around the obstacle in the 4th dimension. Because in 3D, it looks like you just can't get through that at all. But that's where we can use the 4D. This level introduces a classic mini golf mechanic, the windmill. So you gotta time it right to be able to get in there without hitting anything. A lot of these early levels are sort of flat. And when a level is flat and we go into volume view, you can pretty much play it like it's a 3D level where there's kind of no gravity. There, of course, is still gravity, but you just can't see it. And so that lets you do interesting things like this. This level here is a trefoil knot that is completely flat on the ground, which is crazy. Normally you can't do that in 3D. That has to have some sort of height or depth. But here you can. Here I'm aiming at the hole in volume view, and then I use it to just fall off and completely skip needing to actually go on the staircase. And here, these walls that we see here, they look impassable, but actually they're cones, and you can see we can sneak around them in the 4th dimension. So hopefully you guys are picking up on the themes here. This is, of course, a pretty wild game. That took me a while to get used to, but man, is it a lot of fun when you do.
thearst.
Yes.
It's just a game where you hit a ball with a stick. This
Yes.
is... How long did this take to figure out?
This is a game where you hit a ball with a stick, except I forgot the stick at home. So developer Code Parade made a whole development log on his YouTube channel about how the game was created. It's definitely worth a watch. It's really interesting. And yeah, he's a lot smarter than me, so that's how this game was made. Alright, this level has a really tricky skip. It's called Marathon Skip, because this is a marathon. I'm going to try it once. Didn't get it. Now, of course, it's a speedrun marathon, so I have to go for Marathon Skip one time. If you get it, it can save like 15 seconds. But what I was trying to do is trying to clip the golf ball on an edge, which pops me up into the air and lets me skip over a huge gap. I didn't get it. Maybe we'll get to see one of those later. Maybe unlikely because they're kind of hard. But gotta do this level the normal way.
You want to get one shot at it?
Well, I could keep doing it until I get it, but it's very inconsistent. And it might take me like 10-20 minutes. So I just decided one shot, and if I get it, it's cool, you know. But here we go. This is now, that was the end of the first world, Evergreens, which is kind of meant to be like a nice mini golf world. And now this next world is Dunes. And each of these worlds have their own themes, of course. And they also introduce some of their own mechanics. Later on in this Dunes world, we'll see some sand, which is, you know, increased friction. And we also see lots of interesting banked turns and ramps and such. So like we're seeing here with this level is like a ruin. And now one thing that's really important is if you can decompose a 4D level into a 3D level, like I did with this one. For example, here I just did a rotation, and now you can see the start and the finish and the path you need to get there all on the screen. And if you can do that, that's really nice, because oftentimes, you know, that's the fastest, right? You're trying to find the shortest path, and if you can stay on one axis the entire time, that's the best. It also makes it easier to remember, so here I can just do this. Go in here, and go to the goal, and I don't need to worry about changing my perspective once I'm in the level. Here's the first level, which introduces sand. Now you can't really see it because of the view that I'm using, but you can hear the sand, and you can see that it's right there. So one of the trickiest things about this game, about performing it fast in terms of speedruns, is landing directly in the hole without overshooting it. Like I mentioned, the holes are really small in this game. And in addition, you have to be completely, in order to finish the level, you actually have to touch those white sides um, of the hole. So you need to actually enter the hole and touch the sides of it for it to count. So unlike games like Marble Blast, where there's sort of a volume above the trigger where you can just sort of enter that volume and it's okay, here you really got to touch the sides. And so if you're in the air at all, you don't finish. So you have to be on the ground. So it's very easy to overshoot just by bouncing a little bit too high, and then you missed it. So here I didn't quite aim the camera right, so the hole was not in my slice. So I had to do an adjustment there, but no big deal. I should also mention that sometimes it looks like I'm pretty much locked onto the hole. This game actually has a button. When you hold down space, it just changes the camera to aim directly at the hole. That sounds kind of cheesy, but navigation in 4D is understandably not easy. So having a way that no matter where you are in the level, it will aim you at the hole is really good for golf mode. And in marble mode, it helps too. Now, speaking of golf mode versus marble mode, some levels are not designed for marble mode. So for example, this one, you're supposed to land in all these little side paths, but as a marble, you can just roll straight up it. So it's a lot easier than in the intended golf mode strat. This level, I start by bouncing on these these bouncy platforms. They're just walls, but one nice thing about walls is they're very bouncy. Because when you hit off the side of a wall, you want it to sort of bounce you back pretty quickly. But also, bouncing off the top of walls does the same exact thing, and you can get some nice height by bouncing on top of the top of walls. So we'll see some more of that later. Here's another level. It's pretty trivial in marble mode. But that's the end of the dunes. Now we're into Arctic. The main theme of Arctic is these sort of ski ramps that we see. Like here we see one where we can sort of jump off that ramp. We'll see that kind of a lot throughout this. Also, it introduces its own friction, of course, ice. So here you can see it a little bit. And the friction on ice is really low. So it's kind of hard to control the marble rolling on ice. But you can do it, and you can make it through some levels like this. Oops, just barely missed the hole there. Knowing how to use good combinations of volume view and not volume view, and when to turn on the ghost projections, that's what this is, and when to keep the slicing enabled. There's definitely some strategy there in deciding when to use all of these modes, so you have the most information that you need about the level at any given point. This level is called Tilted. And as the name suggests, the entire level is tilted. And so even in volume view, which doesn't have gravity, right, because gravity is the hidden direction, that level actually kind of feels like there's gravity because you're on a tilted platform, which is kind of cool. Here's another level where we can do a rotation right at the start to line it up such that the hole is in our slice of the level. I do another similar thing, do a lineup at the start, and we can bounce off of the wall there. That's what I mean by you can get a lot of height by bouncing off the top of a wall. If you land on the ground, it pretty much dampens all of your height, but landing on the wall lets you get a lot more height out of that. And right here, this igloo, you have to slow down before you get into the hole, because if you don't, it sends you. You'll bounce too high up and you'll get bounced back by the igloo. Here we ride up this spike, and we make sure we change the view so that the hole is visible. Here, I make sure that I can see this ramp and use that ramp to get onto this platform where the finish is. So there I missed it a little bit. You want to be able to go straight into that hole with a lot of speed. It's very cool if you do it. This tube, this is also weird. This doesn't look like it, but this is actually a tube. From the perspective at the start, well, we get to see it again. It actually looks flat. But when I go in here and then do a rotation, it reveals that it's actually a tube, which we can use to gain the necessary height to get to the next platform. Very trippy level right there. Same here, it looks like it's just an impassable wall until we rotate and it reveals that there's actually a hole that you can go through. Ooh, I think I landed on a wall there. You could hear the sound of a wall, and I got popped really high into the air there. That's kind of funny. Now here, if I go full speed here, I'll actually fall off, and I'll go over a wall. So I actually have to slow down there. Otherwise, I'll go from that ramp over that wall there. This is the last Arctic level, and I'm going to try to do a shortcut here. Very nice. So by doing that bounce, it prevents me from needing to actually go all the way on one of those platforms and lets me skip over it, which is pretty cool. That's the end of Arctic. And this next world is called the Mezzanine, and it's one of my favorites. It definitely has my favorite aesthetic because it's basically a museum of all the cool stuff that you can only do, or that you can't do in 3D, but you can do in 4D. So throughout this world, you'll see just like little cool objects that are just like cool 4D shapes that aren't possible in 3D. So for example, here, that shape right there is a Klein bottle, which you can't make in 3D without self-intersection, but here you can. Okay, so unfortunately I hit something there, which means I'm going to lose a cycle here. The main gameplay gimmick of this world is cycles. There's lots of spinning platforms, moving platforms. Like here, there's this moving platform that there's not really anything we can do to make it faster. We just got to sit on it, so sit and wait. So if the host has anything to say, now's a perfect time.
Okie doke. Yeah. We actually did end up opening up one more incentive, so I guess I can throw that out there. So we've got coming up, I believe, tomorrow. We've got Sonic Colors. We have an incentive to upgrade the category to all S ranks. Which I believe is, let me check my notes, $125. The first person we did just get one person did start pitching in towards that. It was Undolivan, the escape simulator runner that just before this one, who says, "May the golden orbs bless your run, thearst." I'm not sure what that means, but perhaps you do. But yeah, if that. If you'd like to see all S ranks in Sonic Colors, do consider chipping in toward that incentive.
Awesome, thank you so much, Undolivan. Yes, the golden orbs. We'll see some more of them later. And shout out to Undolivan, who did the run before this and is doing the run after this. Kind of a legend. That's really cool. But yeah. Hope everyone's enjoying this. This run is kind of insane. With all the different mechanics.
My worst math was geometry, and I'm starting to feel the effects of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of geometry in this game. So here you can see these spinners, and they're kind of hard to see at the right angle. Sometimes a lot of the things in this game are just figuring out the right way to view the level so that it makes the most sense. Because sometimes the same exact thing can look completely different when you're looking at it from a different view. So like here, these spinners, when you look at them in volume view, they make total sense. But if you look at them in the standard view, they're just like weird and morphing and confusing. So it's definitely good to get different views of the level throughout the run. Here's another level you can just kind of break in marble mode. You're supposed to have too much speed to slow down in midair. In golf mode, where you can't control the ball, but in marble mode, you can just slow down in midair and just go straight to the finish, which is kind of fun. This level is also a lot easier when you don't got to worry about the bumpers and you can just navigate around them. Right. So I should mention that there were a couple of these little, black and yellow bounce pads. When you land on them, they bounce you up into the air. And so that's one mechanic that got introduced in this world. Here on this platform, I do a little bit of counter rotation because that platform is rotating. And so I intentionally rotate the opposite direction. I rotate my camera the opposite direction so that I maintain a mostly straight line there. And now here, this is something I'm going to try and do in one cycle. I have a timer where I start at just the right time. And nice, I made it through all of these moving platforms, which are moving across all the dimensions. It's very confusing, but making through in one cycle is very nice. Now Inferno, this is where the difficulty really starts to ramp up. So previously, pretty much all of the tracks are surrounded by walls. But here you can see that there's sections like right here where there's no walls surrounding this. And in golf mode especially, that's very tricky because you got to make sure your shots are perfect, because if they don't make it across, then you're going to fall into the lava. And so that's one thing. In marble mode, it's still very easy to die. It's not quite as bad as golf mode, but we'll definitely have our chance of dying here. For example, on this level, let's see if I can sneak around these edges. Very nice. I will often die to those. And this is what I mean by the same thing can look different. Those two spinner things, those are actually the same exact thing, but they look very different in different views. Also here we got some golden orbs. Golden orbs. Orbs! A lot of these levels are just try and find the shortest path to get through and, cut corners as tightly as possible. I mean, it's all as crazy as it is that this game is in 4D. What I really like about this game is it is still fundamentally just a game that's meant to be played. It's meant to be understood, right? It's not meant to be something that's so wild that it's beyond our comprehension. It's just meant to be a good game. And a lot of the same things that we can, apply to our 2D and 3D games, they all apply here too. That was very nice. So this level's pretty confusing. It's meant to look like a volcano, and landing right in the hole like that is pretty hard. So I'm happy I got that. Fine. So I mentioned you can't see the slopes when you're in volume view, but they're very much still there, and you gotta know them. Alright, I'm gonna go for one edge hit here. Oh! No! I almost got it. I'm gonna go for one more time. We'll see if I can get it. This is a pretty hard strat, but didn't get it that time. If you get it, it lets you skip all the way to the end without needing to go into volume view or change your slice. That was cool. I almost got it. So that was similar to the strat that I was trying to do in an earlier level that I mentioned. It would have looked something like that if I could get it. A lot of these strats we have lineups where we change the camera right at the start to make sure we can understand where everything is. And then use the rest of the level where we hopefully don't need to change the camera again. And so that's what I did in that last level. Navigate through all the spinners. Oh, missed the hole. It can be tricky if you get stuck where those spinners are, but In marble mode, it's not so bad. Here's another time I'm going to line up with the hole. I can just fall right to it, and the hole is in the slice. So this one, you can see that big spike there. That big spike just looks like this sort of sphere. Oh, I fell down. But this sphere, basically, I'm going to go into it, which is going to make me sort of ride up it. Ride up it like that. And that gets me into this sort of outer loop that we couldn't access before. So you basically need to be able to ride up that spike to be able to get to the outer loop. Here I'm going to do kind of a similar thing, except instead of riding up a spike, I'm going to ride up this ramp. Uh-oh. I think I didn't go far enough. Let's try that again. But it looks like a wall in this view, but it's actually a ramp. There we go. So if I exit the view, where is the ramp? I can't see it, but it was actually a ramp, even though it looked like a wall in that view. And that was the last Inferno level. That was where the difficulty really ramps up. In this next world, it does not stop. Haven't you guys ever played Marble It Up? If so, you might recognize these surfaces. These are gravity surfaces, and when you touch them, it changes your gravity. And in 4D, that's even more confusing than it is in 3D, and we'll get to see a lot of instances of that throughout this run, throughout this world especially. There, I basically just want to fall off, and so that way I have gravity pull me down the most amount. Now I mentioned that volume view, its sort of main thing is it makes up and down the hidden direction. Well now, in this world, up and down can change. So previously, while volume view looked pretty much static, now, even in volume view, the world will appear to shift and morph. So for example, this level, which is a Mobius strip, as I go through it, you can see the world around me looks like it's morphing because what up and down are constantly changing, which it took me a long time to understand that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
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 So this
I'm
level,
still stuck on course 1.
yeah, I mean, this game is definitely a game that you build up the intuitions as you play it. And like I mentioned, it is a fun game just to play. So these platforms give you the opposite effect. Oh, see how I went right over that? But these platforms give you the opposite effect is when you touch them, it sends you in the opposite direction of gravity. And so there's some interesting levels that we use that. Uh-oh, I think I pressed the wrong button. Okay, we're good. This level is 2 rings, and we hop from one ring to the other. This level, it looks like you could go to that sand right at the start. But if you try it, it's actually slanted in the 4th dimension. So if you go on it, you'll actually start sliding. So what you need to do is you need to touch that gravity surface first. There's a very hard strat you could do on it, which like you counteract the slope very, very well, but it's very hard. I don't go for it in RTA runs. Here's another level. We're supposed to use this little anti-gravity thing. You can see that right there. But in marble mode, you can just kind of hop over that fence using that little bump. So that's a pretty fun strat there. Now here, this is Blue Moon. And this Blue Moon is just kind of tricky to get your bearings on. Okay, that was not too bad. I was worried I wouldn't make it. You really need to build up some speed there. To be able to make it off of the moon and onto the other side of the platform. This one's kind of cool. You kind of go on that platform, which unlocks your ability to continue through the level. I think that's kind of a cool concept. Here we're on the inside of a sphere. A 3-sphere. Higher dimensional sphere. Here's another level where if I do it right, we can see how much height you get off of bounces. Boom. So I bounced on that, which sent me all the way straight back up to the top. And that meant I avoided needing to build up any more speed and roll up to the top. So I can just use the bounce there, which is really cool. This level is a long, winding path where gravity is changing the entire time. And that was actually pretty nice. It's pretty rare that I land right in the hole there. I usually miss it. So that was very nice. Here we can use anti-gravity to skip the entire level. Oh, or bounce off the wall. Let's try that one more time. But I can use this to land straight on this final platform and avoid needing to take the entire path through the level to get here. So that's a pretty fun one. This level, these are again tubes. And I can change my perspective such that the tubes look flat. I still don't really get this level, but that's fun. All right, now I got a question for everyone. You guys have been watching me play 4D for a good while now, right? And 4D is pretty cool. I mentioned how intuitive it is. So is anyone finding that this 4D stuff is too easy? Pro PokeNoob, what do you think? Is it too easy?
I don't know what's real anymore. Is the glass that I'm drinking 3D, or if I turn it sideways and move the volume, is it no longer a glass? Is it just a spike? I think yes. Let's say yes. Why? How much harder could this get?
Excellent. So this world is called Beyond, and this world goes beyond 4D. It's not a joke. This world is 5D. Surprise! This world is just like how 4D isn't a joke or an exaggeration. This world is truly, actually 5D. The developer went through all the pain and suffering to make it 4D, and then went through even more to make it 5D. So if you look in the top right corner, you can see I now have 2 compasses, because that's how much I need and to be able to navigate this 5D world. And where everything, as I mentioned that for the most part, volume view is static. Now in 5D, even volume mode, I need to be able to rotate my camera and perspective throughout the world. And volume mode looks pretty much like the normal mode in 3D or in 4D, which is just crazy.
Okay, so I have a real question for you.
Yeah. Oops.
Does 4D and 5D actually exist? I don't know.
It's a good question. As far as we can tell, we think our universe is 3D, but mathematically, 4D and 5D, no problem. We can represent mathematically 4D and 5D worlds, and that's what's really cool about this game. Is there's not many games that do that because it's hard, but when you do it, it's really cool.
They said it was too easy. We need 6 more dimensions.
Yeah, right.
11D
It
DLC.
It stops at 5, right? Come on, we gotta go more than that. And what's really cool about this mode is that it was genuinely kept a secret. It was not advertised as part of the game. It was really, just 4D golf. And so it was kind of like a really big deal when you get to it on your first casual playthrough and it gets revealed that it's actually 5D. Ooh, that was also very nice that I landed straight in the hole there. That's pretty tricky to do. But that's done with the normal courses of the Beyond. We still have one more set of 9 holes left, and these are the Beyond Challenge courses. So these are a set of 5D courses that bring back every mechanic in the game. And so, for example, that other level had ice. This one I kind of messed it up. Let's do that again. This one's just a pretty tricky jump to make that you gotta, navigate through many different dimensions to be able to even just make this jump. But
yeah.
Here I need to do a camera rotation, and then once I've done that, then I go into volume view, and then I can complete this mostly like a 4D level. Camera movement and then 4D, easy. This one I gotta rotate my camera and then make it so I can land on these moving platforms, which I need to rotate my camera just the right way to be able to even see these moving platforms, let alone land on them. And this one, you gotta remember gravity? Remember how gravity being confusing? This is the gravity level that's in 5D.
Oh my god.
Thankfully, it's short, and it's the only one. But yeah. Now this one, you're supposed to do a bunch of different rotations. Here what I'm going to try to do is a shortcut, where I'm going to aim at hole. Ooh, I fell off. Let's see if I can do that one more time. But I'm going to basically use this as a, boom, hopping over the wall there from an earlier part of the level to go straight to the end. And that's a pretty cool strat if you can get it. Here I need to do 2 different camera motions in the 2 different axes to be able to see it. And then I can use that to go on this speed ramp to take me up to this top platform. This level is kind of interesting because you can pretty much just hold the space bar and it shows you directly how to get to the hole, so that one's kind of fun. But we're actually coming up on the end here. This here is the last level in the game, and what I do is I start with a 4D rotation, and then I do a 5D rotation, and then I do a 4D rotation to see the hole, and time. Oh, nope, time! That's time. So that's 4D golf marble mode. All courses. So I played all 126 levels of this game, and man, is it fun. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. This game is really trippy, and if you think it looks cool, definitely consider buying the game to support Code Parade, who made this, and give it a playthrough. Golf mode's really fun, and then once you beat golf mode, then give marble mode a shot. There's a lot of really interesting speedrun strats that you got to learn in order to play through everything fast. So definitely consider giving speedruns a try as well. But yeah, does anyone have anything to say before we wrap this up?
I need to go touch grass in 3D. I need to go walk around a circle in 2D, I think.
Yeah, you need to just go back into the realm of comfort.
You are the smartest person alive. For playing this game this way. I'm convinced you are the smartest person alive.
Well, that's certainly not true, but thank you. I really appreciate it. But I'm telling you, if you play the game, it really is more intuitive than you might think. From just watching a video, it's really hard because you're not the one doing it. But when you actually do it, and you learn the controls and you learn sort of how to think about the space, it really is something that's easier to grasp than you might think. So, yeah. I'll say thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm always happy to, support Complete-a-thon, and I'll pass it back to the host. Thank you so much.
All right, that was something else. Really looking forward to seeing what kind of new developments may arise in 4D gaming. Maybe I'll be learning how to speedrun 4D platformers before I know it. But yeah, excellent run. Thank you so much. We're going to be setting up for 2 more runs before signing off for the evening. So stay tuned. All right, folks. With that, I'm done for now. You'll be hearing from me again later this week. We've got all sorts of amazing 100% / completionist speedruns pretty much all week, running through Sunday evening Eastern time. But for the rest of the day, I'll be leaving hosting in the hands of Satan herself. So thank you for taking over for me, and everybody else. Everybody have a good night.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Lem member. Wonderful job hosting. My name is Satan herself, and I am here to host the rest of the runs for the night. We have some amazing 3D puzzle games coming up. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this block as a fellow puzzle runner myself. We have The Witness coming up soon by Und11, and he's going to run a 100% run of that game, which is fantastic. You just get to see all the puzzles. It's going to be wonderful. And then we're gonna have a run of Portal, all achievements -1. And thanks to y'all's generous donations, we actually have met the incentive to put that +1 back in there. We have the final achievement back on live for that run. So please stick around for both of these runs. They're gonna be amazing. That final achievement, by the way, is gonna require something that's gonna be really, really funny. I promise you all are going to love it. It's gonna be great. But that does not mean we are done with incentives. We actually have a Sonic Colors DS All S Ranks category upgrade for the Sonic Colors DS run tomorrow. And Sonic Colors DS is probably my favorite 2D Sonic game, I would say. And I tried to go for S ranks so much as a kid, and I really couldn't get, I really could not get them. I was not very good at this game. So I would love to see that done. We need just $115 more on that. And since that is a run tomorrow, we have time. But chat, I want to see that speed ran as fast as Sonic. I want to see you all put your donations towards Sonic Colors DS All S Ranks category upgrade. And there is also not just one target incentive, there's also a poll incentive for Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing category choice, and that's between 128 KB and 600 KB. That's another game I grew up playing and I absolutely adore. So if you have opinions, please get your donations in for that. And remember that when you go into Tiltify to donate, you can choose a target and a poll. Your money will go to both, and really, we really want to see us meet those targets. You all express yourselves with the polls. We also want to see that money go to Girls Make Games Scholarship Foundation, which helps girls and women all around the world reach their full potential. So, yeah. I hope you all are having a wonderful time at Complete-a-thon. I know I have been. And please stick around because we have The Witness coming up real soon.